Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Jack Ford. It's not a presidential election year, but there are still plenty of important races and issues for New Yorkers to decide. Here in the 5 boroughs, there is a citywide race for public advocate with much at stake. And New Yorkers are also being asked to decide on 5 ballot measures, one of which could change how we vote in future elections. So, to help us break this all down, I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Christina Greer, among other things, Associate Professor of Political Science at Fordham University and the co-host of the FAQ NYC podcast, and also our friend Ben Max, who joins us regularly, Executive Editor of Gotham Gazette, digital watchdog publication that covers city and state government. It's delightful to have both of you here today.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's start with the early voting. We were all sort of talking about that before. And I'm going to start with you, Christina. Tell us about the idea behind it and how it's supposed to work.
Well, New York State is actually quite low on the list when you compare the other 49 states as far as having opportunities for voters to vote early, to sort of have Sunday, weekend voting. I mean, Mississippi and Alabama are way more advanced than New York State.
You probably are surprising to say those words.
Yeah, exactly.
Put them in the same sentence.
Exactly. But, sort of absentee ballot voting in New York is quite difficult. You have to have a reason, whereas other, Washington State, you can just mail in a ballot for free. And so we actually don't make it very easy for all voters to make it. We know that there's some costs to voting as far as time and opportunity, and especially people who have wage jobs, hourly wage jobs. They're supposed to get 2 or 3 hours off by law, but many people don't know that. So this new opportunity to have several days before the actual election day to go in to vote is actually pretty revolutionary for New York State and quite exciting for people like us.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense practically speaking. How does it seem to be working, and what do you see as possible obstacles?
Well, the general idea certainly is attractive, practically speaking, but one of the key pieces that they're working on with this initial rollout versus what they're hoping for the future is, for this first year in New York City, you had got an assigned early voting site. And for many people, that's not their local poll site that they'll have on election day, and so it's not that convenient. It's difficult. The idea in the future is to move where you could go to any of the early voting sites, at least in your borough, if not across the city. Across the city might be a little bit too challenging of a logistical enterprise to take on, but at least in your borough. That's not available this year, so they're sort of, dipping their toe in a little bit, getting it going, and they're doing it in conjunction with the electronic poll books, which make early voting possible. And so, of course, you have all the election workers that have to get up to speed on these new processes, these new machines. You're using tablets at the early voting sites. It's printing ballots on demand. So there's a lot going into this year, and it's good that it's a quiet election year to experiment before 2020, which is going to be a crush.
Right. The key to success here is obviously awareness. Are you getting a sense that voters, folks out on the street, even know that this exists now?
Unfortunately, no. I always do random straw polls, right? Totally unscientific polling, because obviously if I only talk to Ben Max, then, we know quite a bit about what's going on. But, just people that I've sort of stopped and randomly asked about this, they weren't aware that there was early voting. They are not aware that there's an election on November 5th.
Yeah, that's the frightening part.
And that's even more scary. A lot of people, call odd years. In New York, we oftentimes vote in odd years, especially for the mayor and municipal elections, and they call them off years. And we are on quite a bit. And so part of, unfortunately, the pretty abysmal participation rates for a lot of New Yorkers, some of it is education, but some of it's not just voter apathy, it might just be voter fatigue.
Yes.
We ask our citizens of New York to go to the polls quite a bit, and for many, it gets confusing because they'll say, well, I just went last year. Why do I have to go again?
And early voting should help with some of that.
Hopefully.
But this is a year, it's the quietest year of the 4-year cycle in New York City. No mayoral, no gubernatorial, no presidential, right? So there really shouldn't be elections on the ballot this year. There's the public advocate election, which is a special election, really, after an earlier special election this year. But that otherwise wouldn't be there. And then so you have some stray district attorney races and judicial races. But there probably shouldn't be any of those on the ballot in this one of the 4 years. And that's something, I think, for reformers to look at.
We mentioned, let me just get a couple quick things here before I lose you. We talked about the public advocate election here. Why is that important in New York City?
Well, first of all, the public advocate steps in if the mayor can't finish his or her term,
And
at least for a short
I don't
period.
think people know that.
Right. So that could be hugely important, although it's sort of a stewardship before a special election for the next mayor. Some people sometimes make a bigger deal, actually. The people who do know about it sometimes make a bigger deal that that person is first in line. But that would probably be a serious crisis if the mayor was unable to finish their term. So the public advocate would step in. And then secondly, it's supposed to be this watchdog of city government, the people's advocate to hold city government accountable.
And I think that second piece is also really important. Like, yes, they are the number 2 leader in the city, but the way, keep in mind, we have not had many public advocates, right? Jumaane is only our 4th public advocate. We had Mark Green, Betsy Gotbaum, Bill de Blasio, and now Jumaane Williams.
Tish James.
And Tish James in the middle. So, okay, so technically our 5th, though. And so I do think, though, that some people who know what the job is, and that's a big asterisk right there, because many people don't, but they do see this individual as someone who's supposed to serve as a check to the mayor. And so if there's something that is going on...
So it's not supposed to be, you're a member of the mayor's administration.
No, you are not part of the cabinet. You are not a co-partner with the mayor.
You're an outsider taking a look inside.
You're essentially the people's mayor, which many would argue, shouldn't the mayor be the people's mayor? And so I do think that the role of the public advocate is supposed to be someone who represents all 5 boroughs in a way that maybe the mayor does not or cannot.
And how is this race shaping up?
Well, unfortunately, it's shaping up too quietly, but I'm glad we're here to talk about it right before people have an opportunity to go vote. Jumaane Williams won the special election in February. He's running now to fill out the rest of Tish James's term, 2020, 2021. He's the Democratic nominee, trying to keep the office. Republican Joe Borelli, a city council member from Staten Island, is his main opponent. There's a Libertarian, Devin Balkind, also on the ballot. They have very different visions for the office. Folks should, of course, read up on the candidates. I won't go into all the detail now. But there is this is an election with stark differences as to how these candidates would execute the office, organize it, the impact they try to make. You know, it's a small office, but you have a big platform.
Let me ask you about one other race, the Queens DA race. What do we need to know about that?
So Melinda Katz was victorious in the primary. I think that we have not seen much of her since
A hotly contested primary.
in a very contested
Recount.
primary. I mean,
recount,
this was
right.
one of the most exciting races, I think, in the 21st century in New York City politics. And so I think she'll be fine, and she'll work, hopefully, across the other 4 boroughs with her colleagues.
Yeah, I mean, Melinda Katz promised a sweeping agenda of reform to narrowly defeat Tiffany Caban, who was coming from her far left in the primary. She squeaked it out in the recount. The Republican challenger, hasn't mounted a big campaign. Katz is expected to win, but of course voters in Queens should get out there and make their voices heard. One of the big questions, assuming Katz does pull it out, is will she really live up to this big reform agenda, or is she going to come back a little bit more to the middle, where she's gotten some criticism for going too far left in the primary?
And she's been in the middle quite a bit, but during the primary, she definitely shimmied to the left quite a bit because Tiffany Caban surged quite a bit.
It's always interesting. We know what people feel they need to say to get the nomination, and then what they need to say to get elected, and what they need to do in order to govern
stay elected.
And there's
effectively.
major reforms
Yes.
coming down in January that she's going to have to not only get to know the district attorney office, but execute these major criminal justice reforms that passed in Albany.
And the campaigning phase is not the same as the governance phase, and it's not the same as the re-election phase.
All very different. Let me talk about some other things that the voters are going to be asked to take a look at. And one of them is this proposal to engage in what they're calling ranked choice voting. One of you explain that to me.
I'll take a stab at the start of it. Instead of going in and just picking in any race your one candidate, you would rank up to 5 in your first choice, second choice, third, fourth, and fifth. You don't have to, but you would be able to. I should also
Here
note,
we're not talking about, usually not at this juncture, presidential races.
we are only talking about New York City elections and only primaries and special elections, so not even the general election of New York City races. So this would be, let's say, for the next mayoral race, the Democratic primary, which is hugely important, we know in New York City, would have a ranked choice system if this ballot proposal number 1 on the back of your ballot this year passes. And you'd go in and you'd rank. And if nobody gets 50% of the first place votes, they take the last place finisher and whoever voted for that person, their second choices would now get their
So you
votes.
lose that one, and
you
it
keep-
moves up to
And
that.
it keeps
so you keep
sort of
cutting
circling
off, circling
Yeah.
until
up
we
to the
get to
top
the
and work
magic
your way
number.
down.
And so the idea is to, it avoids runoffs, which we have for citywide elections, and we often see a big drop-off in voter turnout for those runoffs, and they're
They don't,
expensive.
And they're
voters
expensive.
don't turn up the second time.
Exactly.
Right.
And for the races where there aren't runoffs, we often see in New York City city council races with 6, 7 candidates, someone can win with 23% of the vote. The idea here is to get somebody up to 50% of broad support. So those are the two big selling points that reform.
Talk a little bit about the then pros and cons of this ranked choice.
Well, I mean, I like it because it gives citizens an opportunity to say, you know, I really like Jack and I really like Ben.
But I like Jack better.
But I like Jack.
Well, Ben's okay.
Just a
In the
touch,
hypothetical.
in a hypothetical,
One
just a
voter.
touch better. So I'll vote for Jack first. But I also want
I'd be
it to
happy
be
to
known
have Ben.
that Ben is on the ballot. And you know what? And if there's no one else in the race that I'm really pleased with, then I just vote for Jack and then
Okay,
Ben.
so I was going to ask you. So you don't have, you can even just
don't-
vote for one if you want
You can
to.
just vote for Jack, but only Jack
Right.
once. You can't
Right.
vote Jack, Jack.
Ooh.
Right?
In the old days of New York,
Right.
you
Yeah,
could have
vote early and
This
often.
is in Chicago.
Tammany Hall. That's right.
Right.
Vote early and
But
often.
it gives a lot of people, and you know, when you talk to, especially, you know, I have the privilege of teaching young people. When I talk to a lot of my students, oftentimes, if it's a crowded field, let's say 6, 8 candidates, they usually like 2 candidates.
Yeah.
You know, and they're sort of struggling as to which candidate they want to vote for. So this gives them the opportunity to rank who exactly they want on the ballot, and then getting to that 50% gives that opportunity, because if Ben is the second choice voter for quite a few people, then Ben will actually be victorious. And it makes sense because you have sort of a wider, say maybe a 5-borough consensus that, you know, lots of people are like, yeah, Ben's okay, right?
Right.
So
And
he's
I like
the
where
one who
this is
becomes,
heading.
he becomes the mayor, the
If drafted,
controller,
I will not.
or
And again, if you
the
want,
city
this is a
council
better
member.
reflection of a democratic process than somebody
Exactly.
winning with 23%. of the
Exactly.
vote. And as you said, the main thing is people get out there and understand who these candidates are and what they're looking for. You two are fabulous. You've explained this
Jay.
all. I walked away thinking, I think I understand this.
And you might be mayor one day.
I'm
Ranked
going to give
choice
it up to
voting.
Ben. I'm going to give it up to Ben. You know. But anyway, thank you both for joining us. We'll get you both back in again soon as all of this is ramping up for the next couple of years. Be well.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks.